So my name is Naomi Lumtenga, born and bred in Uganda, educated in Bulambuli district for my primary education, Toro Girls for my secondary education, and then obtained a bachelor's degree at Makerere University, on to obtained a master's at University College London, and then my PhD at Canterbury Christ Church University. I have lived and worked in various parts of the education sector in UK for the last 30 plus years, but my real passion has always been supporting women, and looking back to the skills I had obtained, I thought I wanted to carry out my passion. I'm back in Uganda, and I'm thrilled to see how East Africa has really helped me deliver that ambition. I took a break from my work in education in the United Kingdom in 2014. And then by then we had started having conversations about setting up a leadership training project for women in Uganda. And fortunately, I participated in the HAS Leadership Institute in the United States in 2015. And part of the requirement is that you set up something actual, project that you're going to lead on and practice the skills you have learned beyond the training. Prior to that, my colleague and the one who really came up with the initial concept, Professor Margaret Haiza, also based in the United States, had participated in the leadership project in 2011. So she conceptualized starting HAS East Africa as a sister organization to the HAS in USA. And so with support from women in universities in Uganda who had attended HAS in South Africa, we sat together, we put together a curriculum, a planning committee, and now here we are. Since then, we have trained over 170 women in universities across East Africa. An absolute joy. Thank you. The curriculum we devised for HAS East Africa academies is anchored on the HAS curriculum in the United States. What we did do was just keep the three-pronged course, which is addressing personal development, institutional barriers, and networking. However, we contextualized it to the needs of the women in East Africa. So we looked at how it's delivered in the United States, picked out what we could pick, and then we discussed with women in East Africa to provide input, and that's how we created the curriculum. For example, one of the biggest evolving concepts is that while the curriculum in USA focuses exclusively on women in education, we felt that the majority of women in Uganda or other East African countries are outside of university. So we broke down the approach so that we tackle leadership issues for women, whether they're at grassroots, lower down the education system, or whether they've dropped out and want to come back. So we have a multi-tier approach. Yes, everyone we have spoken to about our concept absolutely loves it. They think it's transformational. They believe in what it does. They have seen some of the products, no question about that. The problem is we have never had any proper funding until this year. So what we did was appeal to the good side of all the women leaders that have gone before us, on whose shoulders we stood, and we're always willing to give something back to other women. So we led by example, because for me as executive director, it is a fantastic, glamorous title, but I haven't had a stipend for the last 10 years. So we used that to persuade other women to provide a pro bono service. Also, increasingly, a lot of vice chancellors have seen the products of HAS. They have seen how the women have performed and developed well, and now they are willing to provide some nominal tuition. And so we're building on those networks. That's really our biggest challenge, has been lack of resources. We've navigated that by persuading a lot of people to provide pro bono service, and so far it's worked. But we are aware that it is not sustainable. We can't carry on functioning without resources. But what role do we have in the future? It's huge. Even if we just take the core business of higher education, universities, there are hardly any women vice chancellors. So all the women are still on the margins. We know we focus on universities still because that's the thought center. Universities produce more than 60% of the top management in their countries. So that's where we need to change the thought process. The issues we're dealing with, in part, personal development, equipping the women, but we think that is only part of the story. The reason we haven't progressed, really, is because we have focused on the women. So what we now want to focus on, where we see most of our opportunities, is in tackling the institutions themselves. In fact, our challenge now is to be so careful that we don't take on too much. So what we're looking for are strategic inroads. For example, at the moment, we have just completed a scoping study that identifies very clearly what the issues are that are preventing women from progressing. The problem with these unspoken norms that prevent women from progressing is that they are difficult to identify. But we are optimistic. We think we're making headroads. So yes, therein lies our optimism. Therein lies the work ahead. With everyone on board, we think we'll make a change.
I was inspired to start HAS East Africa as an organization after attending a leadership institute at HAS, or Higher Education Resource Services, in Denver, Colorado. Part of that leadership institute required us to develop a leadership project. So starting HAS East Africa was my leadership project. And I was inspired after I learned that there was a sister organization already known as HAS South Africa, which had been started earlier, and it had trained several women from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Uganda and Tanzania, but had stopped due to lack of resources. So through the project that I was leading at the time, which was funded by USAID, we were able to launch HAS East Africa. The most memorable experience for me about HAS East Africa is the day it was launched in September of 2014, and seeing the expectations on the faces of more than 200 women from East Africa who had attended the launch, and how they were ready to be trained at that time. And yet HAS was not yet established as far as the curriculum. We were not ready to train yet. That expectation on the faces of those women and inspired us to continue whatever the case. Once the program started running, and we started running the HAS EA academies, the testimonies, listening to the testimonies of the women that had been impacted, whose careers had been impacted positively by attending HAS EA programs, was one of the memorable moments as well. As the chair of the board of HAS East Africa, some of the challenges we have experienced have revolved around mainly lack of resources, both human and financial resources, to implement the vision of HAS East Africa. That has been an area where we've struggled. Lack of resources to create, for example, awareness about the program within the region, and also having buy-in from higher education institutions in East Africa and elsewhere to participate and support more women to participate in the program. That has been a challenge. To develop a business model so that HAS East Africa is sustainable even beyond when we are here. Going forward, the priorities I have for HAS right now is a succession plan that will enable HAS to continue the activities in a sustainable manner, having the resources and the human and financial resources to continue doing the work for HAS. Also institutionalizing HAS so that there is also buy-in. The program is sustainable, there is buy-in, and anchoring it within the regional agenda of higher education for East Africa and also for the Africa 2063 agenda, so that the programs are harmonized within the region and they become part of the equity agenda of the regional institutions and of the African Union. One of the proudest moments as the founder of HAS East Africa is just watching how HAS has come to grow from an idea in 2011, an idea of a leadership project, to a vibrant project now that is supporting so many women in East Africa has been very fulfilling. And to see the achievements that we have made so far in 10 years, including 2 awards, Best Poster in 2016 at one of the scientific conferences. And also in 2023, we received another achievement of Community Engaged Scholarship. That was a very proud moment for me.
I joined the Academy with an open mind, but as a minimum, I hoped to learn from the experiences of fellow women in leadership, their challenges and how they overcame them, their strategies for life-work balance, their impact secrets, and so on. I think I can say that my expectations were exceeded by the Academy. Not only did I listen to experiences from renowned women leaders like Mrs. Chigozi, Professor Wanyezi, and others who I had long admired, but also I picked up very useful skills for systematic career planning. I also learned that working together like ants with focus and confidence, women leaders can do a lot for academia and for society. I think the one that comes to mind is Dr. Lumutenga said to me, if you don't take up these positions of leadership, how do you expect things in academia to improve for women? For me, that was life-changing because I tend to be afraid of taking up leadership responsibility. I am in my 60s now, which, like it or not, is in the region of retirement. I feel like I've made my contribution, but as a result of the HAS East Africa Academy, I've become very intentional about mentoring women to take up leadership positions. I believe that at the moment, there are at least 3 women who could step into the role of dean seamlessly should the need arise. I would say HAS East Africa Academy is a unique opportunity for women to mentor others into leadership roles in higher education in a bid to address historical imbalances in the sector. This ensures that the needs and interests of men and women have an equal chance of being considered when important decisions are being made in areas like promotion, research financing, deployment, etc., which affect men and women differently. Recently, a report was released on gender inequality and women's participation in higher education. And I see this as a great opportunity to sensitize higher education institutions about the need for sound gender policy at every higher education institution. This will create a predictable framework for ensuring the issue of women participation in higher education remains high up on the agenda.
Hello, my name is Josephine Njoki Marete, a lecturer at UCU, Uganda Christian University, and I lecture in the Department of Visual Art and Design. I'm passionate about art and everything to do with art and design. I was first invited to HAS just by surprise, not even knowing what was happening. You know, the little person who does things around the department, and somebody gave me the opportunity to join HAS. And I came to Gulu this was my first time to Gulu. Very exciting. I had never been to these sides of Gulu. I used to hear about Gulu and I did not know where Gulu was. And it was a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. And they told me, Jocelyn, when you come here, you're going to be transformed, you're going to be changed, you're going to see life differently. And I thought, me, who does everything, I call myself the axle of the department. You know, the one you see the wheel and you don't see the thing that moves the wheel, and that is me. But here I am in Gulu, in HAS East Africa. And it is wonderful. So our first day was quite interesting. We underestimated the amount of bags that we had, and we filled the one bus with bags and we went on the other one, and the journey was awesome. I have gotten to meet interesting women who have shown me that no matter where I am in my life as a woman, I can be greater than I am. I should not be afraid to look ahead. I should not be afraid to lead. I should not be afraid to dream as a woman. And what have I learned? I can dream. I am allowed to dream as a woman. I'm allowed to have ambition. I'm allowed to speak up as a woman, not being afraid to say what is on my mind, even in a group of men, not be afraid to lead, even if I'm leading the men. I hope that when I come out of here, I will be a better leader. I will be in a position to lead. I will have gotten contacts of women who can guide me through my career. I want to be where these women are at this point in their lives. I want to make a difference and make a change in this world, especially in the field of art, where I belong to and passionate about that. I want to create an environment where women can come and share their ideas. Women can create. Women can do great things, because we are the backbone of the society. So I invite you all to come and join HERS. Anytime you hear HERS East Africa is happening, come and join it, because it will change your life and it will transform you to the woman that you are meant to be, not the woman you are told that you need to be.
Men's role in fostering a culture of gender equity and allyship in the workplace and amplification of women's voices comes down to education again, and also a willingness on the part of men to engage in this fight for equality, in fight for rights, because women have women's rights, and an idea that women are leaders or should be leaders. We are losing 50% of the population. Women constitute a bit more than half of humanity. And the wisdom, intelligence, the imagination, and the way of solving problems is resident in this wonderful people is lost. Women should not be asking for inclusion. They should merely take their responsibility and become included. They have the ways and they have the means, and therefore I do not see any reason why they should be asking for permission to be included.
My name is Beatrice Hareño. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Chemistry, Gul University. I'm also the Deputy Dean, Faculty of Science. I got to know HERS East Africa in 2023 when I was nominated by our VC to attend the 6th Academy. While at the 6th Academy, we got a lot of inspiring training, including unlocking the potential of a woman in leadership. One of the things that caught my attention was career mapping. Often, many people do things blindly. Career mapping told us that for you to achieve an objective or a goal, you need to have a series of plans and strategies of how to achieve those plans. And one of my items in the career mapping was to host has 7 academy in Gulu. I'm happy that this is happening today in Gulu. It started like a dream, but now it is happening here live. In the same academy, we also learned that often people dream small and therefore they end up achieving small. So for us to achieve big, you have to dream big. Has 7 Academy was my dream, and now it is here. Along the way, we did a lot of work with HAS East Africa, and I'm happy to announce that I was nominated by the Executive Director, HAS Academy, to be one of the board members. And now as I talk, I'm one of the board members for the HAS Academy, representing Northern Uganda. I'm also happy that in the same vein, the administration of HAS Academy noted that there is need to have a Uganda's country office, and that can only happen in Gulu. And Gulu University has been chosen as one of the hosts to host HAS East Africa Uganda country offices, which was opened on the 18th of July 2024, just 2 days before the grand opening of this academy. HAS has done a lot as far as unlocking the potential of women in leadership and career development. And I believe this 7th Academy will be a game changer in lives of many women within Uganda and outside Uganda.
I am Catherine Wandera, and I'm a senior lecturer at Chambogo University, the Department of Mechanical and Production Engineering. When I signed up for the HAS East Africa Academy in 2017, I expected to learn from the best ladies who have navigated the journey of academic leadership, because I had interacted with Miss Naomi Lumutenga and Professor Kaitsa, and I had learned from them that they had undertaken activities in mentoring female academic leaders, and also they had attended HAS East Africa, HAS academies before. I also knew that through the HAS East Africa Academy, I would be able to interact with many other ladies and learn from them. When we interacted during the academy, it was good to find people who were like me, younger in the academic leadership journey, but also those who were well experienced. So I knew that I could also inspire others. My story also could inspire others. Actually, HAS East Africa Academy inspired me to vie for the position of faculty dean at a time when I thought, like, I was not prepared for it, but each time, that was in 2019, each time I remembered the discussions at the HAS East Africa Academy, and at that time I actually had a picture I had taken at the academy in my office. So as I sat and that picture in front of me, I thought that if I didn't vie for that position, I would be letting HAS East Africa down. So I would like HAS East Africa to develop some programs that could target also the female students at university. Maybe a component of HAS East Africa that looks at the lower level, yeah, and an initiative here and there to even the younger girls in secondary school. We could have a presence at secondary school level, at university level, as building the grassroots, at grassroots level, building the capacity of women to move into the professional technical fields.
My name is Alima Komhanj. I am a public health specialist and a monitoring and evaluation consultant. I'm a senior lecturer at Clark International University, and I also act as the Associate Dean of the School of Public Health of Clark International University. When I signed up for the HAS East African Academy, I remember that was the third academy, I expected to enhance my leadership and management skills, especially those that are tailored in the education industry. I expected to meet very experienced leaders in higher institutions of higher learning. I expected to be mentored. I expected to be exposed to career opportunities that will advance my leadership abilities. And I expected to network with several leaders in institutions of higher learning. Outside my expectations, one thing that stood out for me was the generosity of leaders that are highly influenced, their ability to share their personal experiences, especially in terms of domestic abuse and also in terms of losses they suffered, and how they managed to beat these odds and still be leaders in institutions of higher learning. The leadership skills I gained, the first thing is that my confidence stepped up. I felt like the academy had pushed me to strategically position myself for leadership roles. I stopped operating behind the shadows and I was able to come up and take on leadership roles. I remember focusing more on things that would build my career path in the direction that I wanted to be. I engaged more in community development, and I was able to be recognized by different organizations. I remember Mobi Clinic approached me based on my leadership potential to be a member of their advisory board, and then thereafter I took on a fellowship program. It was a PhD fellowship program at Afya na Haki, where I actually served and led the institution into developing academic programs. I led on to their entire licensure, and in just 1 year I was actually voted the Employee of the Year and I attribute that to the skills that I got from HAS East Africa. I would suggest that HAS East Africa could step up in terms of building an interactive alumni platform, because we are so, I don't know, I think now they're like in the 5th cohort. But it would be nice if we are able to meet the different graduates from the different cohorts to be able to learn and share different perspectives on how people can actually step on and take on leadership positions. Because I know women leaders in institutions of higher learning are not only academic, they are persons that are business oriented, they are people that are into farming, and they are also people that have been very successful into managing their family life. They are mothers and they still do these academic things, and they are very successful. So meeting such great people and sharing can inspire the young people that are coming into the industry. So a very interactive alumni platform would be ideal.
I'm Dr. Elizabeth Nasubga. I am a lecturer at Makerere University. I work in the Department of Population Studies in the School of Statistics and Planning. So in July 2022, I was nominated by the then principal of COBAMS, that's Professor Eria Hisali, to attend a 1-week Has Academy leadership training. I did attend, and as part of that program, we were encouraged to write leadership projects. I did write one, and in partnership with Jensen of Michigan State University, USA, and Has Academy, that is particularly Margaret and Naomi, we did write a project with 3 key goals or objectives of that project. 1, to equip women with leadership and management skills to enable them navigate gender barriers, but also to enhance the grant and scientific writing skills. And we got sponsorship to attend a skills writing workshop in USA at Michigan State University, attend a conference to present our findings, and out of that workshop we were able to secure funding to support other women, to support the 2023 Has Academy. So that is in brief about my leadership project. How did the leadership project impact me and my institution? 1, it enhanced my leadership skills that, as I earlier said, I had a retirement fund as a chairperson, so it helped improve or enhance my leadership skill in that service and also in other areas, but also in my line of work. And I have been able to pass on these skills to other female leaders, young girls and ladies. My advice to incoming and also to the alumni would be to, 1, I would encourage all participants to take it seriously. The topics are great, from, I still remember the career map, scientific writing, and they have a wide variety of resource persons, the expertise, so to take it seriously and participate, but also to have a project in mind that is achievable.
First of all, my name is Dr. Ozah Mujishavine, and I am the Director for Gender Mainstreaming Directorate of Makerere University. Our directorate is responsible for implementation of 2 major policies of the university. That is the Makerere University Gender Equality Policy and the policy and regulations against sexual harassment. Where the synergies between Gender Mainstreaming Directorate and Has East Africa fall is in 2 main resolutions of the university policy on gender equality. Actually not 2, but almost all of them, because the first one is the promoting gender equality in staff recruitment, promotion, recognition, and growth. Then the second one is the promotion of women in leadership of higher education institutions. And then the other one is that in doing all this work, we engage in several partnerships, both from within the country and also from without. So when you look at the objectives of the Has East Africa on leadership development for women, it fits very, very closely with the objectives of the Makerere University Gender Equality Policy. So our hosting of Has East Africa is not just because of convenience, but because we have shared values and the strategic direction that the university would like to go to. Has East Africa makes a contribution, especially through the training of women for their career and personal growth. The 4-tier model that Has East Africa is using as it approaches the leadership development for women. There is a clear connection between higher education, the research that is being done, the connection with the grassroots. First of all, there are many women from Makerere University that have benefited from the training. And when you listen to their testimonies, the training that Has conducts annually, the academies, they have contributed to the growth of women, both at a personal level but also at a professional level in terms of career. And because when you look at what Has East Africa is doing, It's doing the training, but there is a lot more that we can do with as East Africa. There is a whole question of women's well-being at a personal level, but how we can impact communities. I think for me, there's a lot more we can do together in terms of how we can advance our work. Because when you look at our policy has 10 strategic areas, and right now the current collaboration that we have is looking at only 3 out of the 10, or even 11, because even us as the directorate, we benefit from capacity building through experience sharing. So there is a lot more that we can do together with HAS East Africa if we have all the resources that we can get both locally and internationally. So there is a lot of room for collaboration and strengthening the ties deeper.